It's Down Home with Tina, and boy, do I have a show for you today. I have got two amazing guests. The first one is my Veteran of the Month, and I cannot wait for him to share his story with you and what he is doing to make just, I think, veterans grow and to be better than, and especially when they go through challenges. Just wait and watch. You'll see in just a couple of minutes what I'm talking about. And then I have Jeannette Curtis with the Fairfield County 211. She is going to chat with us about the services and the amazing things that they do in our community. Folks, I am so very blessed to be able to be with you, and I'm excited to share these folks, if you can't tell, today. I will be right back in just a minute. You're watching Down Home with Tina.
The Frankie Smith Funeral Home and Crematory in Lancaster and the Johnson Smith Funeral Home in Baltimore have a long and wonderful history of serving our community. Feel free to give us a call at 740-653-0652. Stop in and see us at either of our two locations, 405 North Columbus Street in Lancaster and 207 South Main Street in Baltimore. Respect for tradition, regard for change.
Dagger Law has been part of the Lancaster community for more than 110 years. This is where we live and work. You'll see us at festivals, sporting events, and all around town. We consider our clients as friends, and we walk alongside you through challenging times. Whether you're a growing business, a changing family, facing litigation, planning your future, or dealing with land issues, we're right here. We are local. We are trusted. We are experienced. Dagger Law.
Welcome back. It's Down Home with Tina. I have Jeremy Clark. He is my Veteran of the Month. This being my 4th of July show is what I'm calling it. He was in the U.S. Air Force, but the Ohio Air National Guard.
That is correct.
Correct, Jeremy?
Mm-hmm.
Now, the way I got to know Jeremy is because y'all have heard me talk about from time to time my Army sisters. And he is the sibling of one of my Army sisters. And I have known of you, Jeremy, for quite some time. But I think it was an event that she had. Maybe it was the graduation party. Were you at the graduation party?
Yes.
Her twins. She's got twins. Their graduation party, and I was there. It was very briefly that we even interacted. However, I saw something that she had posted on social media about you and what you have done for veterans. And I think it was just a little bit about it. And I went, wow. I want to have him as my Veteran of the Month, because I have some really amazing guests that I've had on the show and veterans that I've had on the show, but I don't know, and some of them are very involved with some of our veterans organizations. But oh my goodness, with you, your story, and everything that you have gone through isn't anything like I've had before with a veteran, and what you have done for and are currently doing for other veterans is just pretty amazing. And I'm so excited to have you as my guest and to be here to share a little of your story. So, and you're also a teacher.
Yes.
So I'm just like, he could have been a Teacher of the Month, a Veteran of the Month. What else could he possibly be? Amazing inspirational person of the month. But anyways, will you share why you decided to join the U.S. Air Force? The Guard?
Coming from my childhood, we weren't very fortunate. We had a lot of struggles and everything like that, and it grew to the point where I started, after high school, I tried to go to college and I couldn't afford it. So I knew that was the thing. So my stepdad was part of the Air National Guard, Air Force Reserves, Air Force, and he mentioned it, and I kind of took it upon my own just to go check out the Air Force, or the Air National Guard, and I went, and before I knew it, I was signed up, and I was, and 20 years have passed, so.
Wow, yeah, because you retired from it, yes.
Mm-hmm.
So what was it like in the beginning when you first joined? Was it something you were just really excited about being a part of? You knew it was your place, or?
In the beginning, when I signed up, it was for the benefits. That's exactly what it was for. Over the course of the 6 years, my initial enlistment, I found the quality of the people that were in it, the friendships that were formed, the family, the military family, the brotherhood and sisterhood, that kept me in, and eventually it grew into a prideful thing. This is what I'm doing. I'm doing this because it's my purpose. I found a place, something bigger than me, and that's what it became. And over the course of, I think it was about year 10 is when I went to Iraq, and that changed everything for me because I was able to see the world in a whole different place. Being an Air Force guy, combat is not usually a place for us, but we ended up working directly with the 1st Infantry Division, and I was a 50 cal operator running convoy security in the middle of Iraq, right in the beginning in 2004 when all the craziness was happening. So it was that changed my course yet again. I went from having a purpose to now this is my new identity, and at that point from there, the whole transition moving into basically what led to who I am today was coming back and dealing with the recourse of being in a combat situation. The PTSD that came from that, the depression, the loss of identity. Well, loss of identity came later, but yes, things like that.
Yeah, where were all of the places you were in? You said
Saudi Arabia started out and then went to Kuwait, Iraq, Germany, Turkey, Guam twice.
Wow. So how many years was that span of all of those different places?
Some of the deployments were, they could have been short deployments, 6 weeks. Some of them were, like for instance, the Iraq one, that was a deployment set for a full year, just like the Army would do.
Okay, so you were doing all of that, and you were activated for those things,
Correct.
right? For those
For
certain amount of time, right? Because you were still civilian part of that, because you
Through
were in
all of
reserve.
this, yes.
Through all of it, yeah. Because how were you dealing with all of that? Because you also earned your teaching degree in the process, correct?
Correct,
of all
yes.
of
The
this.
military allowed me to pay for my bachelor's degree, which got me into the door of teaching and education. So I did that while, being married, having a house, commuting to schools, taking college and everything like that. Eventually, once I became a teacher, and then after I went to Iraq, it actually afforded me the ability to go back to college again because they gave me more benefits, and I was able to complete my master's degree that way.
Okay.
So,
when did you realize that you had PTSD? Was it right away?
no. I was in a denial state from 2004 probably to like 2008. I ended up going through a divorce, not knowing why and understanding things, not understanding why was there this change in me. And I thought everything was good, and I started into a new relationship, which ended up being my second marriage. And as soon as all the kids, blended family, moved together into the one house, I was in a completely different mental state. And that was through some inability to control my own anger issues.
So it escalated into something bigger and worse.
Correct. The triggers became apparent. My emotions were out of control. I was not the person who everybody knew I was.
Okay.
And that ended up after a violent outburst on my part, I ended up in the vet center, which is the Columbus VA Vet Center. It's a place created for veterans by veterans. It's free counseling and readjustment services for veterans.
So when you say you ended up there, was it an outpatient kind
It was
of thing?
it's a voluntary walk-in, but my wife at the time, she asked, she said, you either do this or we're done. So I was okay. So I went in there, and it started out counseling services, started out once a week or 2-3 times a week, depending on how frustrated I was. And eventually it slowed down to the point where I was about once every month. And then I started joining a PTSD group that had other like-minded veterans in the same situation.
How hard was it for you to get to that point where you knew you needed to go there, Jeremy? And I'm asking you this not to pry into, but because of other veterans who are dealing with these same things that may not know what's going on.
Correct.
They may know, but they don't want to come out and say they know. Does that make sense?
Healing doesn't start until you're aware of it, that you have a problem. If you can't admit you have a problem, you're not going to start healing, and you're just going to walk through the motions. My initial stay in doing counseling was walking through the motions.
Okay.
It wasn't until later on when I kindly it crossed my mind that, hey, I do have something wrong with me. What can I do to fix this? And that ultimately is what led to my time going to Save a Warrior. SaveAWarrior.org. They are my saviors. These are the people that brought me back from suicide. They brought me back from that edge of my life. They're located out of Southern Ohio, right here in Ohio. Their program started in 2012 under the guise of Jake Clark, and this guy created this environment to help veterans and first responders now to deal with their complex PTSD, which is what I have.
Was there ever a moment that you thought there was nothing that could help you?
Yes. what has it been, 3 years since Save a Warrior, so about 4 years ago, I felt there was my, I was at the end of my rope. I was
like nobody could help you. The VA can't help you.
Yeah.
Nobody understood it. Was it because you thought nobody understood what you were going
yes,
through, or
that's
it's just
exactly
that you
it,
were
because
just like,
I'm an Air Force guy that's dealing with combat issues. My own base didn't even know what to do with me because they were writing me up for discipline issues, not helping me. But everything that happened with me, with my leadership and all the stuff there, actually what opened this door up to, hey, I can use my story to help somebody else.
Absolutely.
And that's what it led to. The next guy coming in with PTSD issues, instead of writing him up and sending him home without pay, they took him to the VA hospital. They had me come in and tell my story to all the military leadership at the base, so they understood that, hey, we deal with this stuff, and this is a reality for us now.
Okay, yeah, and there are veterans, I do believe, and maybe even some watching now, that think that that nobody can help them. But once they begin to share their story, and I'm one of those, I just love having you say that, is because until people hear your story, how can they know to help you to know how to help those other veterans that are sitting in their living rooms or at the bars,
correct,
or other establishments that may have been unhealthy establishments for them, going, there's nobody for me.
Correct. About 2014 is when I decided I needed to do something for myself to try to help others because my voice was heard at the base finally. And that's when I started this whole idea, the Driven with Purpose for PTSD awareness. It was me using the car community to try to create this awareness. And it started with me coming up with an idea of wrapping my own personal card.
Yes.
And coming up, and using that. And that in itself, the design I came up with, and Eric Wolford of Pro Graphics of Columbus, he volunteered to sponsor my car and wrap this because he believed in what I wanted to do. And he took this idea, made my car the way it is, and at car shows, at the gas stations, at the track events I'm at, whatever I'm at, it opens the door for a veteran to come up to me and say, hey, I'm struggling with this. What do you know about it? And that's what my story is. I'm open up and share that. And my opportunities have been expanded because of Vet Motorsports. VetMotorsports.org, they're also based out of Columbus. They allow me to be a brand ambassador, to go to these events and stand there, help out, be the veteran focal point, and allow them to talk to me about that kind of stuff, but also feel the sense of closeness because there's another veteran there.
So now you're part of these organizations. Are always looking for funds for these organizations to help out or not? Because I want to get that.
For me, I don't personally collect them. If anyone says they want
Yes.
to donate, I say please go straight to vetmotorsports.org or saveawarrior.org.
Perfect.
Saveawarrior.org is, like I said, the organization that saved me from my brink of suicide at that point.
And you're still in contact.
Yes, and they actually last year allowed me to start being a brand ambassador for them too at events.
Oh, Jeremy, that is awesome. Something that is the latest, because I know that I could talk to you for hours and hours, I know. But the license plate, I wanted to bring that up of how folks, the general public, can actually do in that way.
3 years ago, I met with a state senator. I forget his name. I apologize. But he started the ball rolling with my story, and he put a bill in to start the PTS awareness plate. It was something I drived at. I tried to do it through signatures first. It failed. But he pushed it through. Another senator picked it up, and between the two of them, instead of keeping it military focused, they opened it up to all PTSD because, to me, I stressed everybody, trauma is trauma. Mine is no different than anyone else's. And that PTSD awareness plate costs $50, but $40 of it is donated directly to the PTSD Fund of Ohio now. So, and that fund once a year is all the money is allocated to a nonprofit that deals with PTSD in some way.
So when you see a plate out there, it's not necessarily the person themselves that's driving. It is because they're giving back.
That is correct.
In order to help those dealing with PTSD.
Yes.
Oh my goodness, that is awesome. Jeremy, we're almost out of time. Anything that I didn't ask you or share that you would like to share with folks right now?
If you're struggling, a veteran, a first responder, saveawarrior.org is the place to go. These guys have the answer. They are leading the fight against the suicide epidemic among us. Vet Motorsports, if you're a veteran, injured warfighter, and you want to get out there and experience the motorsports arena in any way, they're the way to go in there. It's awesome.
Awesome. And I'm telling you what, I've had like goosebumps most of the interview that I've just hearing you talk about things. I've got some things in here that just a little tiny, minute way of just thanking you for all that you do. And Ava's Jewelers little gift card and some other things that hopefully you like, and cookies. I always
absolutely.
make cookies,
Who doesn't?
so hope you like.
So,
Jeremy,
thank you so much.
and
Thank
bless
you.
you for sharing your story. I really appreciate it. And
I appreciate the time.
And Facebook or anything like that?
Drivenwithpurpose.org. I use
And that's
Instagram as DWP for PTSD.
Okay, awesome. You're amazing. Folks, don't go anywhere. I'll be right back. It's Down Home with Tina.
Hi again, everybody. Got Jared Stewart alongside Tim Shoemaker. Tonight, we've got a great one for you. The Bloom Carroll Bulldogs.
We had a great week of practice. Even in the rain and the weather, we had a great week of practice.
Schneider, lots of running room to midfield. He's gone. Ryan Schneider down the near sideline for a touchdown for the Aces.
Grab a hold on the offense, number 20. That penalty will be declined. They'll bring up fourth down.
We're going to give you this game ball here because you're a Tiberios fan of the game, and thanks for being here, Jacob.
Thank you.
The Polar Bears are your OAC tournament champions, first time since 2009. What an exciting finish for the Ohio Northern Polar Bears.
Be very proud of this trophy because you've earned it.
Anyone who comes in there to visit or obviously to live out their last moments, they're in good hands. And so you learn to appreciate that.
Welcome back to Down Home with Tina. I have Jeannette Curtis with me. She is the Executive Director of Fairfield County 211. Very first time, so I'm very excited to have you to learn about all of the programs and what you are all about. So share with folks, how long have you been with Fairfield County 211 yourself?
I have been with the agency for about 15 years.
Yeah.
And I actually have worked in every position in the agency and finally worked my way up to that top position, and I'm now the executive director.
Well, very good for you. What is it that you love about Fairfield County 211? Because I would think that you love it if you've been there for so long.
I have to say, what I love most about my job is the connection. Whether we're connecting someone who needs food with a food pantry, or whether we're connecting an agency that needs, to contact another agency. I love it when people call me and say, hey Jeannette, I'm thinking about starting this program. Who should I talk to about that? Or if a client calls in and says, hey, I worked with you several years ago and you helped me meet this need. I have another situation. Can you help me? I love that connection component of what I do.
My goodness, how many folks you have and people you have probably helped out through all of the years that you've been there. I can't even imagine.
There's a lot. If you think, our agency answers over 50,000 calls a year.
You do?
Yes. So there's a lot of connections that have been made over the last 15 years and a lot of relationships that we've built.
Yeah, absolutely. So what is Fairfield County 211?
So in a nutshell, we are the information and referral services for Fairfield County. And the best way to think of it is you have a person who has a need, whether it's food or rent or utilities, and you have this agency that can help them. We make that connection. We're the bridge, the link between the two. Yeah. So when they call in with the need, we say, hey, this is what we have to help you, and we give them all the options. And it cuts down on a lot of time. Folks who live in poverty, their biggest commodity is time, and we don't ever want to waste that. So the fact that they can contact us and get that referral immediately,
yes,
it's a huge time saver.
Absolutely. And yeah, because for them to try to figure out what it is they need when all they need to do is make that one call to you, and you all are the ones to say, well, this is what you need. Even if they think they may need something else. Call you first, right?
Well, and we'll help you with this now, but call us back so we can help you with that later. And we want to build that relationship so that people know that it's a safe place that they can call and they're going to get help.
Absolutely. What are the programs that Fairfield County 211 offers?
So 211 is actually one of our programs. Our agency is, the big fancy name is Information and Referral Services of Fairfield County. That's kind of a mouthful. So we go by 211, but what that is we operate a 211 call center, and 211 was set aside by the federal government the same way that 911 is for emergency services or 811 is call before you dig. 211 is specifically for social services. Okay. So it is a nationwide program. It's actually up in Canada too. Wow. So it is an amazing program across the nation that links people with resources. And in addition to the 211 call center, we have a representative payee program that serves over 100 individuals that either have severe and chronic mental illness, substance use disorders, or they're developmentally disabled. So this is a very vulnerable population that struggles with managing their finance. Those programs, our payee program actually manages their Social Security funds. They make sure that they aren't evicted. They make sure their utilities aren't turned off. They make sure there's food in the house and doctor's appointments are paid for. So it's a really great supportive service that we have available, and we're lucky to have that program. It's through a partnership with our local ADAM board and the Board of DD that allows us to provide those services. We also answer the 24-hour mental health line for Fairfield County.
Okay.
And our rule of thumb is we don't define what a crisis is. You know, it could be one call who is someone who is suicidal, and we assess for safety and we refer out and link to services. The next call could be a single dad trying to figure out how he's going to feed his kids tomorrow. Those are both crises, and we make sure that each call is treated the same. We do an assessment for safety, we look at the resources they have available, and we link them to the ones that they need.
Wow, and it's 211.
So they can call 211. There's a direct dial for the crisis line. Starting in July, they'll be able to dial 988. So there's a lot of resources available for crisis services, mental health crisis, substance use crisis, any type of crisis.
How often do you get something where you go, okay, now we need 911 when it comes to something like that? And with the
frequently, we answer over 2,000 calls a year on the crisis line that are specifically for crisis and not 211 related. And we do linkage either with first responders and law enforcement, or we now have an amazing resource in our community, which is the mobile crisis team through New Horizons. They will actually respond in a very short amount of time to where the individual is. So it's normally less than an hour, and someone is getting linked immediately with mental health resources.
Yeah.
So it's wonderful that we have those resources, and we serve as that central intake point for those requests for the mobile assessments.
Wow, it's no wonder you have over 50,000 calls in 1 year.
It's a lot. It's a lot, and we don't have a big team. I like to say we're
how
small
many do you
but fierce. So our call center actually only has 4 employees. We have 4 people that answer the 211 calls. We have 3 representative payees, and then we have a couple other crisis workers and me.
When they go through their training, do you teach them to remain calm when they do have somebody calling in with a crisis?
Yes, we are actually certified through the Ohio Department of Mental Health Services, and we are required to meet certain standards under that umbrella for the department, for the state of Ohio. So we are a certified behavioral health hotline, and our staff are thoroughly trained on how to respond in crisis, how to stay calm. We do debriefing afterwards. It can be tough on our operators too, so we make sure that they have supports too.
Absolutely. You also have, what is the Hunger Coalition that you are involved with?
So we facilitate the Hunger Coalition for Fairfield County, and it's called H3, and it stands for Hunger, Health, and Hope. It's made up of 3 committees, and each committee has its own goal or mission. So obviously the Hunger Committee is a place for pantry coordinators, food resources to come together and have that forum to talk about what they're seeing, trends, service gaps. Then we have the Health Committee, and that's kind of our advocacy committee. We meet and we talk about how can we address hunger in Fairfield County? How can we, link people to resources? How can we educate people on how to eat healthy on a budget? So there's a lot of work that we do there, and we plan Hunger Action Month every September too.
Wow.
Yeah, and then we have a Hope Committee. Now the Hope Committee is made up a lot of our faith-based organizations in town, and they are an amazing resource that we have. They fill a lot of gaps. The greatest thing about them is there's no red tape. I can call them and say, I need help, and they say, okay, what can I do?
And that's why it is so important that folks know to call 211, because you know that if there is absolutely the last resort of anything, you have a last resort place if it comes to it, to know where to go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Our tagline is get connected, get answers.
Yes.
And there is no eligibility requirements for our agency.
Just going to ask you who qualifies or who cannot qualify.
If you live in Fairfield County, you can call 211. If you need a resource in Fairfield County, just call 211.
What is your contact information other than 211?
So we try to make ourselves accessible. We actually can be contacted through our website, which is just fairfieldcounty211.org. We also have an email, info@fairfieldcounty211.org. And then people can actually contact us through our social media. We do a lot of communications that way too. And then our office is downtown at 108 West Broad Street in the building right next to the fountain.
What a huge amount of information that you have just shared in this segment, and I appreciate it so very much that you have taken. I don't know why it's taken me so daggone long. You're like, yeah, I know, Tina, right? Where you been? No, thank you for your time and for everything that you do and your commitment as well, because it's got to be huge. Whew. Like, would you say small but fierce?
Yes, we're small but fierce. Well, thank you for having us and allowing us to share our mission.
Absolutely, absolutely. Folks, don't go anywhere. It is Downtown with Tina, and I'll be back with a special message.
The Lancaster Festival returns for its 38th season, July 21st through the 30th. This year, we proudly present Rick Springfield on July 23rd and Lady A on July 30th. Reserve seating and general admission tickets are available at lancasterfestival.org, by phone at 740-687-4808, or at the box office located at 117 West Wheeling Street in Lancaster. For the full lineup, visit lancasterfestival.org.
Down Home with Tina is brought to you by these amazing sponsors. And you can watch Down Home with Tina on social media, on Facebook, on YouTube, CLN Your Hometown Connection. You can always check out my website, it's downhomewithtina.com. But most importantly as well, Spectrum 1021 news show begins every Wednesday, and you can see what's happening. Folks, I just have to tell you, God bless America. Happy 4th of July. I've got a little message that I want to share with you. When I think of the 4th of July, of course, I think of our veterans and all of those who have served in our country to help us to be what we are as a free nation. And my little message is, I salute the heroes who lost their life, who had to go through every strive to get us our freedom and sense to stay. I salute to all of them today. Do your bit by celebrating with cheer in your heart and spirit in your role. I wish you a happy Independence Day. I hope that you have a safe week, fun. Go do something with the family, do something fun for you. There are so many great things going on. Don't forget that on the 4th of July, it is going to be on this coming Monday, down in Lancaster, the parade. The parade begins at 10 o'clock. Also over at the Fairfield County Fairgrounds, you can go over there and spend the day just hanging out. They're going to have rides. They're going to have entertainment on the stage. They're going to have so many different things that you can go out and you can enjoy. And I just thank you so much for continuing to watch the Down Home with Tina show. I ask you if you will share the word about the show so it will continue to grow. So just like the guests that I had on today, I always highlight my teachers, first responders, students, veterans, and amazing organizations and groups like Fairfield County 211. Please help me to spread the word. Thank you. God bless you. Until we meet again, it'll be next week. It's Down Home with Tina.